Welcome to Corrective Consciousness episode 258, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. I'm your host, vysethebold, and with me will be Lotus Prince and Fakafon. Two of them were on this episode as well. I had to record this a little bit later because our show ran long and we decided, hey, let's split it into two episodes. So here we have an entire discussion on the LRG 3 event, as well as a couple other things left over from Reactive Consciousness. So please enjoy. Also, Limited Run Games had their E3 event, but it wasn't associated with E3. They called it LRG3, and it was hilarious. They had Mega 64 make it for them, so that was pretty cool. Did you watch this at all, guys?
Nope, I just heard about the games that were being released.
Oh, see, it's worth watching just because it's funny, what they did. But yeah, probably there were some really surprising things on this. So, well, this isn't too terribly surprising, but the first ones that I'm going to talk about, but they are continuing to partner with Konami to bring up the Contra Anniversary Collection when they've already done the pre-order for Castlevania, which the Castlevania Anniversary Collection is I never thought I would be wanting to buy that, but I did because it was beautiful. The amount of fan service they put into that was phenomenal. So I would think that the Contra one will be just as cool with posters and all kinds of stuff. It probably won't be as expensive because they know that Contra fans, there's a smaller segment of the community that are Contra fans than Castlevania fans, but I still think it's cool. I mean, Contra is near and dear to my heart, so I love Contra stuff. So I can't wait to see what the package looks like. But they also announced Castlevania Requiem, which is the Symphony of the Night Rondo of Blood collection for PS4. Mm-hmm. They're going to do a physical of that, which that is the best version of Symphony of the Night, bar none. Is the most comprehensive, and it will only be for PS4. A lot of people are complaining about that, but I hate to tell you this, but the only reason it exists is it's an emulation of a PSP game.
Well, not only that, but Limited Run Games doesn't determine what systems games go on. They just make physicals of shit that already exists.
Yeah, I mean, it is an emulation of a PSP game, but it does not look like it. It looks like it should. It is very clean and wonderful, and I actually just ran through Symphony of the Night on that very recently, just for the hell of it. I love Symphony of the Night, and it is an amazing game, and it's great. This was surprising. So they are giving Castlevania Rondo of Blood for the TurboGrafx 16 its first official release.
Okay.
On the TurboGrafx 16.
Oh.
Yeah, this is one of those things that now they can check off the fact that they did it, but this seems like it's for no one. Who still has a Turbo Duo that they're gonna buy this game for? There's 10 people in the country.
Buys the bold.
Yeah, it's finally, I've always wanted to buy a physical of a TurboGrafx game in 2021.
Well, here's the thing. I have the official Japanese copy of this.
Yeah, but that wasn't released this fucking year. You had that when it made sense. You don't have it, you still have it.
I still have it, and I also have the bootleg fan service-y one that somebody made with a fan translation on it. So I have that. It came out of Germany. So I actually own this for the original system twice because I was it looks cool, so I'll get it.
Yeah, this thing is novel because it's an actual officially Konami branded release in English of this game on the original hardware.
Yeah.
It's just
it's kind of
I hope you're proud of yourself, LRG. Just put that shit on PS4.
Well, it is on PS4. It's on.
Yeah, it's just what? This just seems like such a whatever esoteric thing for me.
I mean, I will get it because it probably will have fan service to the 9s on it, and anything Castlevania that will have some fan service from like the best era of Castlevania. I mean, the 16-bit, 32-bit
bold
era is
claim.
the best.
Bold claim.
Yeah.
Mr. Vysethebold.
I was gonna say it's living up
I
to his
don't
name.
think so. I mean, like, if you want to make the claim that the 64-bit era is the best era,
I will defend these games.
Well, the 64-bit era is the best era because that was the PS1 era, which had Symphony of the Night.
Symphony of the Night is
Exactly, there it is.
32-bit. First of all,
No.
Well, the N64 was around around the same time.
yeah, but I meant that the 64-bit era is just the two N64 games, which is really just 1.5 games.
Yeah. I was gonna say the two 64 games, which are like 1.5 games.
Yeah, 1.5 games that are okay, but not that great. But
They're even worse than that, honestly.
me and Lotus have a fondness for them, but
Yeah, I beat that shit on stream. It's doable, except for that fucking Nitro part.
yeah.
I actually played as the werewolf guy, so I never got that Nitro part.
Oh yeah.
I don't even know if that's in the game. Like, I haven't played Legacy of Darkness, so maybe there's a Nitro part, maybe there isn't.
Legacy
Okay,
of
yeah.
Darkness is a huge improvement.
Yeah, like
It's better.
I played
It's
the
way
original
better.
game.
Yeah. So the next game that they announced was the Takeover, which is not Streets of Rage. Like it's a game that is very similar to. It very obviously looks kind of like Streets of Rage, but with like digitized characters. Like kind of like Donkey Kong Country digitized. Like they're like 3D animated, but like also sprited. Like made.
Okay,
into
so it's like
sprites.
3D models that they turn into sprites?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So digitized, but not like pictures. But yeah, that game is really fun and cool. So I do recommend that. This was pretty surprising. So they are doing a Shantae collection for PS4, and PS5. So,
But is it a collection though? I thought it was like just the 5 games individually.
maybe it is the 5 games individually. Maybe I misread that or misinterpreted it, but they are putting all 5 games on those, which is pretty.
Yeah,
cool.
and this is the part that made me happy. The original
Including
Game
the
Boy
Game
Color
Boy game.
Shantae for
Yeah.
PS4, because that one was conspicuously missing from Little and Run games for years.
So that's really cool because Nintendo emulations hardly ever go onto other systems, even like non-Nintendo stuff. So like there's I can only count like a few games that I know of that have done that. So never a Game Boy game. I can't think of a Game Boy game ever being ported to anything other than a Nintendo platform. So that's pretty exciting.
Well, actually, the Castlevania Super Collection, right? The Anniversary Collection that includes Kid Dracula, right?
Yeah, and the Game Boy games. You're right. The Castlevania Adventure games are on that, so you're spot on. The Konami ones would be the only times that I can think of it.
Okay.
But for Game Boy games, that is. There
Oh
are
yeah, excuse me. Kid Dracula was in this case NES.
a Famicom game, yeah, that they translated specifically for that collection. So, but yeah, it's still a novelty. I mean, like there are very few like Nintendo games that
never
are
happens.
originated on a Nintendo console that go elsewhere. This was surprising. So, River City Girls 2. They're putting that out, and that was a fantastic game, and I love the animation and the voice acting. I love everything.
The animation
about it,
is
the whole look.
really over the top.
The
like
music
I remember
is
seeing,
amazing.
It was
too.
really fun.
well, I remember seeing a clip where if you have the yo-yo equipped, you're just using it as a yo-yo, like up and down as you're walking. That's a lot of sprite work to just do that incidentally.
Yeah, the sprite artist was very proud of everything that they did in that game. They posted a lot about what they were doing when they were doing
Yeah,
it.
as they should, because man, that's gorgeous stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, huge props to the creative team on this game. I think the second one will be even better because, as much as I like the first game, does have some balance issues. So especially with the bosses. The bosses kick your ass. let's.
I think there is one boss in particular that everyone struggled with.
Yeah. I think the goth girl.
Who it was.
Maybe. Yeah. But yeah, that game murders you. And then they revealed that they're also doing a physical of River City Girls 0, which nobody knew anything about going into this. Apparently, they're doing kind of like a demakey game that it looks like. Essentially, what they're doing is they're taking Kunio-kun games from like the Super Nintendo, Super Famicom that never came over to the U.S., and they're kind of like doing it in that style, which is really really neat. So I'm really looking forward to that. And they also revealed in the same breath that there will be physical copies of the River City Kunio-kun Collection, which came out last year, which has a ton of games that had never previously been in English officially. So I really do recommend that.
There's a ton.
It's like 11 games on there, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's like Goemon, where we got like 3 of those games. We're like, this is pretty cool, and there's like literally 20 games that we just
they
don't know about.
Newly translated 11 Famicom games for us in that title. I think
I had no idea there was so much.
Yeah,
many rather.
Those are just the ones that weren't translated. There were many more that they included that were already translated. That's a huge collection. There are tons of great titles on that one. It's really really good. They revealed Retromania Wrestling is getting a physical copy, which everybody seems to love this game. It is a lot of people are saying that it is the spiritual successor to the WWF arcade game that everybody loved from that time period. I think that Technos made. I think it was WrestleFest or something like that. But anyway, everybody seems to love this, and it also had a lot of crowdfunding kind of things. Like some popular YouTubers had their face put in the game, and there's also a lot of famous wrestlers in there from yesteryear that are free agents or retired. So I think McFoley's in this game.
Wow, the guy from Robot Wars is in this game?
Yeah, one of the most famous wrestlers of all time, who had many personas. 4 different persona, I think he had in the ring alone. And I think the basically the faces of the WCW before they were part of WWF, the Road Warriors are in here as well. So, the guys who look like guys that would
the
be
Road Warrior Mad Max characters. Yeah.
Exactly. One of the Ruby games, Grim Eclipse. I know nothing about Ruby.
As far as I know, that's the Ruby game. I remember vaguely hearing about it on Steam and GOG years ago, but I didn't really know much about it. But I'm pretty happy that it has a physical. I might opt in for that one.
Cool. Dusk, which is an awesome game. Have either of you played Dusk at all or seen anything on Dusk?
Let me take a quick look.
It's a horror-themed game that looks
retro
like
FPS?
in the style of Quake, the original Quake.
Wait a minute. Yeah, doesn't this happen in a some farmland and stuff?
Exactly.
I've seen that. Yeah, I have seen that. It looked pretty funny.
Dusk is a lot of fun. It is a retro-themed FPS that is intentionally low polygon.
It really has the same feel and everything, even the way you move around.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. You fight a lot of haunted scarecrows and shit like that. It's a lot of fun. I really recommend it. So that's coming to physical. This is going to sell really well. Axiom Verge 2.
Do you think they'll also release that on the Wii U? To complement the set?
Oh boy. But no, I mean, Axiom Verge was hugely popular. I have never
Axiom Verge was literally the creator of the game told one of the heads at Nintendo, you're not making a Metroid game, so I will.
I think I love Metroidvania games, and this one's a very popular one, and I don't like it that much.
It's okay.
I've tried several times to play it, and it's never clicked with me.
I've never tried playing it, but I do dig the aesthetic, that vaguely Giger aesthetic.
Yeah, it's like Giger meets the original Metroid, like NES Metroid.
Yeah, like old school, like Alien kind of stuff.
But I love the aesthetic, I do. I love the look, I love the music. The gameplay, like, I got lost in that game. Like, I didn't know where to go. I just didn't know where to go. Once I got the glitch gun, there is a point where I just can't figure it out. And there are things that you can do, but I could look it up, I guess. But like, I feel like in a Metroidvania, you should be able to figure it out with persistence, and I haven't been able to. And this is coming from a guy who plays a lot of this type of game, so it's not like I think it's in poor game design if I can't figure it out, or maybe I'm dumb. Who knows? But it just never clicked with me. A lot of more prominent people love this game, and that love Metroidvania. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just coming at it from a bad place or whatever.
Maybe it's your personal taste as well.
Yeah, it might be my personal taste, but I
that can't be
love
it.
these things. I usually love these things, and I would love to give the second one a chance. That's for sure, because it looks dope. Hunt Down, which looked pretty cool. What was this one? I'm trying to remember. This one I think is a Hunt Down Switch.
Isn't it like a side scroller?
Yeah, it is. I feel like it's pixelated.
I can't remember for the life of me.
Yeah,
This one I know nothing about.
Yeah, no, I was right. This one is, you know what it looks like? If it looks like RoboCop versus Terminator.
Okay.
What a comparison!
like it looks like the Virgin Interactive like Terminator games of the time. They're like run and gunny, but have that like '90s comic book dark style. It looks like that. So yeah, I remember that. Super Hot is getting a physical. Super Hot's an awesome game. You should play.
Yeah, I'm clearly gonna opt in for that one.
I played Super Hot the day it came out on PC, and I am so glad that I did that. I did that with our friend Retro Gamer in Ireland. It came out while I was there, and we ran through the entire game together. And
That game's fantastic.
it was
Nice.
badass. I'm not gonna go into it because I'm sure that's a popular game and I have to move on. But play Super Hot. Bloodrayne, like the Way Forward Bloodrayne game.
Yeah, I was gonna mention, like, Way Forward is a popular household name now, especially with the Shantae games and the River City Girls. But like, the older period has some games that either weren't well received or just not talked about. Like Silent Hill Book of Memories, the Vita Silent Hill game, that was not well received. Bloodrayne was just not talked about. I think that was an early-ish digital-only PS3 360 game.
It was a PS3
and
360 game.
like, if you've played the first two Bloodrayne games, like this plays
nothing to do with it.
that this plays nothing like them because it's a side-scrolling platformer. The game's all right. It only has like a few music tracks. It's a pretty short, like, budget game, and there's
I kind of see it as a precursor to the Mummy game. Like remastered
kind of.
Mummy.
It's not a Metroidvania though. It's just straight up a side-scrolling platformer with like levels. And you got wall jumping and stuff. It plays like one of those kinds of games. There's no voice dialogue in the game. It's like text bubbles out of your mouth or text over your head, or I forgot what it was. The game's okay. You beat it and then it's done. Like I have beaten it on PC. It's okay. It's just, if anything, I see this as more of like, well, I see it less as like, finally a physical of this game, and more like, I genuinely think you didn't know this existed. Well, it does. Like, because like, who talks about Bloodrayne? Bloodrayne was popular in the GameCube PS2 era, and then there were two games and that was it. And then this secret digital game that is nothing like its predecessors comes out. I don't even know who talked about this. So hey, there's a third Bloodrayne game, everybody.
Yay!
Yeah, and they're also adding content to it. It's called Fresh Bites for a reason. So it might be a redemption for this game, honestly.
Well, we'll see. Like it's all right.
Yeah.
Like I mean, again, this is an early digital title, so like it's just a short game that's divided into levels.
And then there's Strife is getting a physical copy. Strife is famously the last official Doom engine game.
Yeah.
I think maybe before Chex Quest. Chex Quest might be the last one. But Strife is really cool, very underrated. It is basically like Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight before Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight. Like
yeah, there's dialogue in that game which blew my damn mind in text, but still.
Yeah, and you can actually like it's open ended. It's almost like Deus Ex. Like you go.
Yeah, like I played a couple minutes of it, and I could hardly believe that this was like made by the Doom. Yeah.
Yeah. It like you go through it, and like you can go up to a character. Like one of the first people you meet is like a shop owner in the town. It's just funny that you can go to a town like there's a contiguous world.
It's not levels game where you do nothing but kill enemies.
So you can go up to him and like buy something off of him, like if you have enough money, or you could just straight up murder the guy, like Deus Ex style. Like you can do whatever you want.
I'm afraid the only thing I know about this game was from a speed run, so I'm not the right person to talk about it.
But yeah, you can get missions and like quests to go on. It's really neat. I've never played a long time in it, but I can see it being really, really good.
Yeah, very ambitious first time.
Exactly. And it is worth re-exploring, and it's been brought back a couple times. They brought it back on GOG and Steam, and now they're finally putting it on Switch as well. But Switch is a good home for it, and getting a physical for it is even cooler. And then a bunch of games that I don't know much about. Maybe if anybody can expound upon Skatebird Republic going under One Step from Eden, but I don't know.
Republic was like a game that had a physical, I think from maybe NISA or something a while ago.
I see.
I think that used to be like a phone game where you influenced. I forgot if you either influenced what a character did or if you moved her yourself, but then had to influence obstacles that could like affect her in some way, and it eventually got a console release.
Was it like a night trappy kind of game?
No, I think it's more of a traditional gameplay thing, but it was just used with phones, and then it hit up console. But I was surprised that this was getting a limited run release because it already had a physical release, but I think this might be a more like comprehensive edition or something. Possibly with VR, which I never even knew was a thing for that game. It might have come later.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's the best I got. I haven't actually tried it.
Yeah, I don't know much about the other games, unfortunately. Like I knew a lot about most of the games on this list, but
Haven, Skatebird, Going Under, One Step from Eden. I do not know these games.
Yeah, me neither.
Even Republic, like that was the best I had.
So their final game that they announced is like the punchline, but also real.
Well, that was what surprised me. They're like, this is the most anticipated, requested game. This is our grand finale. Like, I don't think it deserves that position, but all right.
So, Plumbers Don't Wear Ties, the 3DO classic.
Classic.
I actually played this game well before it was like an internet sensation because one of my friends, Quick Paul, is friends with Rob or Kurt Collada on Hardcore Gaming 101. I did a podcast with Quick Paul and Kurt about like the unique aspects of the 3DO because his dad owned a Panasonic store like back in the day that carried Panasonic stuff like TVs and VCRs and stuff like that. So he sold like 3DOs. So he was like he was like swimming in 3DO games. Like he had every 3DO game that was worth playing. And this game is one of the most famous of the adult in quote titles for the game. It sells. It's marketed as a porn game, but there's no porn in it.
It's just a really, really slow game.
And it's very silly.
It's a visual novel without the novel, because it's voice acted without subtitles, but it's a PowerPoint presentation, so you just see a picture of somebody looking angry, and then you hear them yelling, but it's just a picture, so it's like... It's off-putting.
It also takes a million years for anything to happen in that game.
That's the thing. Yeah, like visual novels today, you can hear the voice acting too, but you could press X to move on with your life if you don't want to just sit there and watch a PowerPoint presentation happen.
Yeah, and I think the most tantalizing thing that happens in the game is you see some side boob and maybe a butt cheek.
Yay!
Yeah, I mean, like it markets itself as like an adult title that has not even like the bare minimum of adult content in it, so it doesn't even do what you want it to do. Like if you were looking for that.
I guess at the very least you get a shower scene with both the guy and the girl, so
Yeah, but like I said, there's like a butt cheek and side boob. It's like it doesn't do what you would want, a thirsty game to do.
Maybe people like elbows. I don't know.
I'm in the bows. But yeah, this is like this is like Crypt Killer or any of those releases, like
or Corpse Killer.
Corpse Killer. Like I can see Night Trap, because like Night Trap has
at least something happens in Night Trap.
It has gameplay. Number one. Number two. It has a cultural cachet, because like video game ratings happened because of Night Trap. Let's face it.
Which is ridiculous when you think about it today, but back in the day.
It is a culturally significant game, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, like Plumbers Don't Wear Ties was on AVGN or something. That's the only reason anyone's heard of it at all.
Yeah, so, and it basically has no good qualities other than the fact that it is a ridiculous thing to own.
The closest thing to significance you could say is that it's one of the earlier made in the West visual novels, kind of.
Yeah, it is just a story, really. So, it is. I think Corpse Killer is more worth owning than that, and that's saying a lot. I think Corpse Killer is terrible.
I'd have to agree with you though.
I very obviously would more like Night Trap to me has some value.
Night Trap is the best of the three, and it's still not good.
I mean, there are other games from that company that are worth your time. Like Sewer Shark would have been a better choice. Sewer Shark is fun. Double Switch is fun. Has that gotten a re-release yet? Double Switch?
Yes.
Okay. So Double Switch is more fun than than this game. Like, this is like a bottom of the barrel for an FMV game. Like that, and that's saying something. Because FMV games are generally not fun. I mean, that was the reason why they died out. There are some good ones, but they're an exception. Like Road Avenger is an amazing game.
Known elsewhere as Road Blaster. Yeah, that game is fantastic.
And Cobra Triangle is its counterpart, and that's pretty good too. But I would say Time Gal is okay. Ninja Warrior is okay, or whatever that one's called.
Revenge of the Ninja.
Revenge of the Ninja is okay. Then you have the Dragon's Lair games, which are nearly impossible. They're beautiful. They're fun to watch, but they're impossible.
I like how every single Dragon's Lair game you can get your hands on, they're all incredibly hard in their own way.
Because they were arcade games.
Yeah, I mean really
even the one on Game Boy and the one on NES and the one on Super Nintendo.
Oh well,
the NES one is fun.
The Game Boy game I think was originally supposed to be a different game that they turned into Dragon's Lair.
And even then, it's still surprisingly hard to play.
Yes.
Watching Mike Matei play the NES version of Dragon's Lair is like one of the most amazing things I've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't know how the hell
brute-forced
he
his
did
way
that.
through that game somehow.
It's possible. You just have to.
I might say that might be the worst NES game. It is that bad. X-Men and that game and Jekyll and Hyde are probably the worst ones. I can't think of anything. Maybe Taboo, just because of lack of content.
Yeah, Taboo was terrible.
But yeah, they're like Miracle Piano. But yeah, I just plumbers don't wear ties, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass on that one.
Yeah, same.
Me too. And we have a couple things here. We have Taito Milestones Collection was announced with some classic Taito games. Actually, some really obscure ones. Probably the most well-known one is Ninja Warriors, which at this point it's not even that great of a game because like the sequel is way better.
Yeah.
And the original Elevator Action is really really good.
Ooh.
But the sequel is way better. They should have just released that. But yeah, that got announced. Also, there's a rumor that there is a Castlevania collection about to be announced. The Castlevania Advance Collection, which would have all 3 Advance games in it, supposedly. Game Boy Advance games. So I would say that's probably has some credence to it. It got rated in Australia. That's how how it's a rumor, and so usually foreign ratings are a reliable source of rumors, of confirmation for rumors. So I would say that's happening, and based off of the popularity of the Konami collections, I would think that Konami would want to keep going. What I really want to see is the 3 DS games. In a collection, because those games are awesome, and having them marooned to a portable only experience is really a shame, because all 3 of those games are really really good. Whereas I think with the Game Boy Advance titles, only the 3rd one is really aged well. The first 2 have their problems. So, and this is from a gigantic Castlevania fan. And then I just wanted to do a quick shout out to Rick and Morty season 5 began this week.
Yeah, I'm excited to see it.
Sunday. So I am not caught up. I have not seen anything past season 2, so I'm woefully
Yeah,
behind.
same for me actually. I kind of fell off the series for some reason.
But I feel like the seasons are coming out quicker now. Is that a correct assessment, Lotus? Like,
I
don't
think
know.
they are, yeah.
well, I know the gap in between 2 and 3 was really big. Like there
Was it like 3 or 4 years?
Yeah, I think Dan Harmon and the other guy,
Justin Roiland.
Justin Roiland, were not getting along, which tracks. Both of them are very unique personalities, and Dan Harmon famously doesn't get along with anybody. So he's had several TV shows that were classics, but like the people involved with them barely want to talk to him anymore.
Oh man!
Notably, the Sarah Silverman project, which was really funny. I really love that show, and Community is the other big one, where had a very public falling out with Chevy Chase. And he got fired from it like mid show, and then got brought back because they couldn't do it without him.
Oh god!
I don't think I've ever heard of maybe just Larry David is the only time.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Apart from Larry David, I can't really think of anything else.
Yeah, Larry David left Seinfeld and then got brought back. Yeah. So we should probably move on to fan stuff, Lotus, at this point, unless you guys have any other things that you want to talk about.
Well, no, I think I'm good.
Okay. How about you, Fakafon? Did you want to talk about anything that happened last week?
Honestly, I can't think of anything else. I was just really, really happy to see River City Girls too.
Yeah,
that's pretty rad.
There are some really great announcements here. So I think everything's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so we have just a few comments. One of them from Fakafon, actually. But Living Corpse had 2. One of them was quoting, it's like meteor, meteorite. What's the difference? And then Living Corpse said, or lava and magma. I don't think you really care if it's above ground or not when you're near it. And then,
well, I think there is a particular distinction with lava or magma because I think it's like oxygen has mixed with it.
You're reacting to oxygen.
Yeah, exactly. There's like a chemical distinction.
Yeah.
But...
And then the other comment was, I feel like making a Superman game should be easier now. Yeah. We have games like Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, Asura's Wrath, Metal Gear Revengeance, where you play an overpowered badass. Just get Platinum Games to make a Superman game.
The problem is Superman content in general, good Superman content in general is hard to make. Because the character is old-timey and simplistic. Let's just put it that way. The best Superman stories involve him with a big struggle or something that he can't control, and he's Superman, so it usually has to be a social issue because he's Superman, and what's going to defeat him, honestly? Other than Doomsday, because they invented something that could beat him.
Yeah.
He literally sold well because he could do anything at the time when they made him. He could basically do anything. They gave him a weakness after a while. Like Kryptonite wasn't originally in the story, and they were like, "Oh, we have to have some conflict here. Let's add some Kryptonite."
Well, that's the thing. Wasn't old school Superman just stopping bank robbers? Yeah. Like, my God, he could leap tall buildings. I can't fight this guy.
Yeah, exactly. And he gets a pass because he was the original superhero. I mean, there's nobody before him that qualifies. Maybe Zorro, but he's not. He didn't have superpowers. Like Superman is Zorro's and the Lone Ranger are the predecessors to superheroes, but they're
I'm thinking the Shadow.
Yeah, but they're all guys with guns.
Gosh.
They're all guys with guns with domino masks, right?
Yep.
Superman actually had powers because he was an alien. So
yep. And the Shadow might have. I think he had one of those cowboy bandana masks.
Yeah, there might have been some mysticism involved in.
I mean, he was a radio play, so I guess you had to hear what they told you he looked like.
Yeah, exactly. But they had pulp stuff based off of the Shadow.
Yeah.
But you're right. There were adventurers and stuff like that, but it's Indiana Jones-y kind of stuff before there was Indiana Jones. But
but Superman could pick up a car on the cover of the first comic. It's crazy.
He could fly into space. He could fight Brainiac. All these weird villains. So that was something brand new. Superman is just for modern times. He's a Boy Scout, right? So probably one of the best modern Superman stories is about him contracting super cancer. So he has to this is Grant Morrison's All-Star Superman. He has to go around the world and basically prepare the world to exist without him, which is a terrible thing. To lose Superman is a terrible thing. So
what happens when a new Darkseid or Brainiac comes from outer space? I've come to conquer Earth. There's no Superman. What do you do? It's like Dragon Ball Z. What if Cell showed up in the Dragon Ball era? Just everyone's fucked.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, and what if there was no Goku at all? On top of that,
yeah. Raditz would show up and conquer Earth, and that'd be it.
Yeah.
King Piccolo would have taken over, so.
That's true. Yeah, King Piccolo would have taken over first.
The Red Ribbon Army would have been there.
That's true too. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Watch out, Raditz! They have a tank.
Was it power level 2 for the guy with the shotgun right?
Yeah, that was great.
I remember that.
You've managed to singe one of my leg hairs. Like, okay.
So what I'm trying to say is like we are, thankfully we have a few good Superman pieces of media. We have like the Superman animated series because everything by that team was good back when it came out, right? We have like the animated DC movies with Superman in it, which are all pretty good. With Jerry O'Connell as Superman, those are all really fun. But like, other than that, we have a few good comics. Not all of them are good. Like, you have to pick which ones are good, and usually he's best in like Justice League, not his own comic. I've never been a Superman fan. I'm a Batman guy, but still, it's just one of those things.
Mm-hmm. And then Fakafon also had a comment. How impressive is it? This is regarding J.K. Simmons, that your performance on stage and cinema is that good that decades later you're brought back as the same character in an entirely new timeline. Yeah. Oh, so that's not J.K. Simmons. That could be like Kevin Conroy But yeah, you do mention J. Jonah Jameson really marked a cornerstone of the Spider-Man movies. It goes beyond like being the same actor for the MCU because it's not about keeping a continuity. It's just
almost like nobody else can play that character. Just kind of
that was it. Yeah, he is J. Jonah
Hugh
Jameson.
Jackman is like the only person who can play Wolverine right now.
Yeah, pretty much.
Tony Stark can only be played by Robert Downey Jr. because they are the role. They owned it.
Yeah.
Well, even in Star Wars, they had to like. They brought in actors just to have like the face of their own, like the old actors that play them, like put on them,
Sure.
Yep.
Like they did with I think it was Tarkin.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, Peter Cushing. Yeah.
Yeah, Peter Cushing. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so like a lot of people, what bugged us about the Green Goblin mask was the lack of expression, especially considering that Spider-Man's mask is not very expressive either. That is a good point. You had the hero and the villain confront each other. Yeah, but the eyes didn't. They weren't expressive in the Raimi movies. They're more so in the Tom Holland movies.
Yeah, nowadays, yeah.
They
you just have two guys in Halloween masks, like, acting, but you can't see their faces moving at all.
La comedia dell'arte.
Yeah, they really rectified that with the Tom Holland era because
he went back to like the 60s look where he would like narrow his spider eyes, on the mask.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember being peeved whenever one of them would take off the mask. Go figure. Yeah. And I would have said Injustice as well regarding good Superman games. It's not a Superman game, but fuck it. Yeah, I mean, like, what are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, what else would you point to? It's clearly the best Superman game. He's the main... He's the focal point of that game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, it counts.
And then our final question, once again, is from Fakafon.
What a guy.
I mean, you want to read this one? Because it's your story.
Yeah, so what was you guys' best strange culinary experience? So, well, I have two. The ones that I wrote down where I went to Mexico and there was a Chinese restaurant that was owned by Mexicans. And they had like the most hilarious like typos in the menu, like paper steak instead of pepper steak, stuff like that.
That's awesome.
It was really good though. But yeah, the Nutella mango sandwich story. So I was at my friend. We were at his apartment, and we were preparing, snails with, garlic and stuff.
Oh man, I want to paint an S on my car so I can say, "Hey, everybody, look at that escargot."
Oh my god! But yes, we were preparing escargot, and the recipe we misread it, and we added way too much like cubes of chicken broth.
Mm-hmm.
So it ended up It ended up incredibly
like
salty.
Bouillon?
So
was it
yeah,
bouillon?
Yeah,
oh
bouillon
yeah, there's
cubes.
so much salt in that. Oh my god.
This is the saltiest thing I've ever had, and I want to eat a whole heaping bowl of salt.
So we added way too much because we misread. We're like, oh okay, and it was uneatable. It was disgusting.
You know what that reminds me of? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Now, I was just gonna say that reminds me of an episode of I Love Lucy back in the day, where Lucy and Ricky like switched positions. So Lucy like went out and got a job that both her and Ethel worked. It was one of the most famous episodes where they worked in the candy factory where they had to wrap candy. But Ricky
probably the most famous episode.
Yeah, and Ricky and Fred were like, well, we'll do what they would normally do. I guess we'll make dinner. And Ricky was looking at a recipe for chicken and rice because he's like, yeah, that ought to be easy enough. And he was like, how much rice is a cup of rice? Like, well, if you fill a cup of rice, it's only about this big. Like, I don't know, let's do 4 or 5 cups. So they had like comically like rice overflowing out of the pot and like falling everywhere. And it's just like a cartoon. It was great.
Oh man. So we ended up like I'm gonna finish up really quick. We ended up like not having anything else to eat. That was like our whole meal. So we opened up the fridge and we just basically got whatever was left, which was like toast, Nutella, mango, and some bacon. So we mixed them all together, and that's what we ate, and it was delicious.
Hey, sometimes
Nice.
a condiment meal does the trick, man.
Yeah. So what about you guys?
Well, go
I
ahead,
don't know
Lotus.
if I have like a strange culinary experience. The best I can do is like what you were saying with that restaurant with the menu that was kind of silly. Probably the funniest example of that I have was when I had gone out to dinner with our friend Perry like back in college, and just I don't know, we were just in a mood. So to occupy our time, like I mean, we ordered off of the regular menu, but we picked up the little, you know how some restaurants have like little fun activities you can do for
Sure.
the kids. we picked up one of those because
I know what you're
whatever.
gonna talk about. This is so funny.
Yeah, this is like my favorite thing. So you know how like in well I don't know, did Fakafon, did you get highlights magazines back in Canada?
I don't think so.
Okay, because that used to be like a kiddie activity magazine, and one of their big things was, well, find the hidden objects. There's that, but
Stuff like that. Oh yeah. No, we got a lot of those.
yeah, and one of their big things though was you would see 2 very similar pictures and see if you could spot all the differences between the 2 pictures.
I love that.
Yeah, so we had one of those, 2 very similar pictures, but the wording, instead of saying find all the differences or whatever, it said which one is different. And we're like, what? So I remember Perry like pointed at like a random one. He's like, this picture's different. This one is the same. It's like, yeah, the wording was like terrible. It was hilarious.
Wow, that's amazing.
It was just funny. Like, it just cracked me up.
I guess what I want to mention is one of the things that I had always heard in going to like Ireland. I had planned to go to Ireland as a trip to go visit Retro Gamer when back in my late 20s, and I had really anticipated this because it was just like a really big thing for me to go on a vacation basically by myself. And also, I had never been to Europe, so I was really, really looking forward to it. And one thing that we had always heard in America, it's kind of like a stereotype, and it's not a, and I'll get to this, but it's not a particularly accurate one. That Irish food is not good. Like it's bland rather. So like the perception in America is like for a long time was that like Irish people just like basically boiled everything rather than like, braised it or baked it or whatever. I'm sure at some point in history that was true or something was close to it.
Yeah, like I'm wondering if this is back in like medieval times with the way the peasants would make their food. It's like, well, you don't do that anymore.
I mean, even back in the 50s, like American food was like that, right? So
yeah.
Like they boiled.
Well, I remember. I think
shit.
I told you this before, but my dad thought that he hated any and all vegetables because his mother would only buy canned vegetables, and even canned vegetables are better now, but they were like
terrible
trash back then.
Yeah.
So like when he married my mom and she was making vegetables, it's like, oh crap. But like she did frozen vegetables, and it was like a whole world open to him. He's like, I didn't know vegetables could be good.
Yeah, no, and I actually credit that. I actually credit most people that hate vegetables haven't had them cooked well. Like I think they just never experienced them.
Yeah, if you're, I mean, again, like you could do better than canned food, but even then, you're still better off than like canned food from the 60s.
Well, no. Overcooking vegetables is an easy thing to do, so like I don't fault everybody on that. But like if you minorly steam them and have a little bit of crunch to them, they're amazing. Most of them are really good. Like even you love green beans to an extent.
Yeah, green beans, corn. I'm okay with carrots. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I went there kind of expecting, food won't be like the focal point of my trip. It'll just be a means to an end kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I did end up getting what's called a Frommer's Guide, which is a famous travel guide of places of note to go to. Good good places to eat in notable towns, and also like attractions that are like off the beaten path, like not like the Blarney Stone, like not stuff that's super famous, but like good experiences, like going to see James Joyce's resting place and things like that. So from that guide, and also with Retro Gamer's own knowledge of Dublin is a cosmopolitan city. It is a big city. So like it's like any other big city. They have immigrants from everywhere. They have influences from everywhere, and they're well connected. They also get all kinds of imports. So I had some of the best food I've ever had in my life in Dublin. I really, really loved it. I had one of my favorite burritos I've ever eaten in my life in Dublin. It was the first meal I had in Ireland, and it was amazing. You do not expect Tex-Mex in Ireland to be good. It is very far away from the Rio Grande, as it
from
were.
Tex and Mex.
Yeah, exactly. And it was really freaking good. They put it was very human heavy, and at that point I hadn't really experienced that, and so therefore it had a very strong and good taste at the same time. It was really, really good. And I also had an amazing pizza there while I was there. One of the best pizzas I ever had in Dublin, but by an Italian immigrant in Dublin. I also had a French meal. I had duck confit, and it was one of the most delicious things I've ever eaten in my life.
Duck has a very unique taste too, huh? So
yeah, and I really love duck, and it can also be really bad. If you don't cook it right, it can be bad, and it was really, really, really good. So much so that I wanted to emulate it when I got back to America, and then I found out how difficult it is to cook duck confit, and I felt very lucky to have had such a good version of it, because it literally takes I think a week to get the way it's supposed to be, because it kind of cures in its own fat. So it's a big to do to make duck confit. So
it's a process, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I was gonna mention that because I just thought it was something interesting, food wise. It was something surprising. So
yeah, it's always fun when you enter a big city and you find those restaurants that are just especially good. Here in Montreal, we had a Lebanese restaurant up north. You ever went in Montreal? Yeah.
Yeah. I went there maybe a year or two before I went to Ireland, and I ate at a really nice restaurant there. I ate at a really nice dim sum restaurant as well. This was in the old part of town.
Oh yeah, I know what it is.
Wonderful food. You also have some really good smoked meat sandwiches. I love those.
Oh, dude, yeah.
I love Montreal. I really need to visit you, because I love your town. I really do.
Speaking of that, I remember when we were in Mexico, we actually stopped at a stand that was selling poutine, and we got curious. It was disgusting.
Poutine, it can be very bad.
Yeah.
Just, I would go as far as to say, outside of there are some northern states that make it well. Like you can go to Wisconsin, and it can be really.
Oh, I'm
good.
sure they do it well. Yeah.
Yeah. Buffalo does it well. But like nothing like getting it. We got it while we were at Con Bravo, right?
That's right.
Lotus. Yeah. So
Yeah, in Hamilton.
we went to Mighty Quinn's. Does that sound right?
I don't remember. It's been years.
Yeah. That was excellent. I had a very at that fancy restaurant. I had a very amped up like poutine. It was unlike probably any poutine like even you've had.
Nice.
It was.
They had caviar on it or something?
So kind of close, like in terms of concept. It had potatoes au gratin, but like in a cube,
my god!
and instead of like French fries, it
Yeah.
had some really succulent like gravy on it, and instead of like bacon or something like that, they put pate on it, and no, it was foie gras. It was foie gras, yeah, and it was intense. I am not usually a foie gras person, but this was like one of those exceptions. It was just like it was so good.
Nice.
But probably my favorite meal in Montreal. We went to a crepe restaurant that was like it was being held in like an outdoor courtyard, and they had like live music playing, so that was all part of it. And they had savory crepes for dinner, and I had a pork loin crepe that was just pork. It was like pesto and pork loin and tomatoes. It was
nice,
delicious. It was like one of my favorite things I've ever eaten. Like loved it.
Nice.
Didn't need to be a super fancy place. It was not, but it was amazing.
As long as the food is good, you can go anywhere, really.
Yeah, I just Montreal's just a place for that. I think they really take pride in their food in your town. They really do.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
When you go elsewhere in Quebec, it's like I kind of miss the restaurants.
Yeah. Well, we also like went to the best places. We did our research and that kind of thing.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, awesome stuff. Any other experiences that you guys wanted to relay?
No, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Okay, that is the show for this week. We want to thank all of our fans who contributed comments and questions. Please keep us supplied with awesome topics and questions of your own via by submitting them via the YouTube and Soundcloud pages. Do we have any left, Lotus?
Questions? No.
See, we need more questions, and not from co-hosts. We need like we need them from the fans.
We do.
Please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. Helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. You can also catch us on Tuesdays for our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, the in-depth look at this week in our lives. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on pretty much everything.
And you can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, like Deadly Premonition, getting in on exclusive live streams, I recently finished up Fear Effect on the PS1, for example, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, so the aforementioned Deadly Premonition, or getting in conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
Yeah, and I drew the thumbnail for that, so go watch it.
Hell yeah.
That is true, yeah. Fakafon's title card for Deadly Premonition is freaking gorgeous.
Well, you should also look at his design for Yamcha and the Cybermen.
Yes.
Oh, you should definitely, yeah. And you can see those on my Twitter at Lou Fakafon or on my Patreon and comic Cadrilla.
If you ever want to see how Yamcha really died, this is how it happened.
Hopefully he went to heaven afterwards.
Twerking Cybermen. Gotta love it. And we will catch everybody on Tuesday then.
Until next time, everyone.
Goodbye, everybody.